Okay, this is a moment from history, and once again, we're taking a quote, a quote out of the Light and the Glory book in chapter 11, starting at the very beginning of the chapter, God's controversy with New England, and that is on page 209. One of the greatest mysteries that we faced in our search was the question of what finally became of the Puritans. They had seemed to be prospering in every way. The hard times were behind them. There was plenty of good land and plenty to eat, spacious houses, and they were living in peace with the Indians. Spiritually, for the most part, they were deeply committed, obedient, and fulfilling the terms of the covenant, and God was blessing them beyond all measure. Then, like a fire slowly dying down, the spiritual light began to dim, until by the beginning of the 1700s, what had been a blazing light of the gospel of Christ had become only a faint glow from smoldering embers. What had gone wrong? The more we read, the more the question plagued us, for our research was beginning to indicate that the covenant way was the way in which God had intended America to go. If that were true, then the answer to the question of why the Puritans went wrong might very well provide the answer for us today. We found our answers mostly between the lines of a number of sad accounts of such compromises as the halfway covenant and increasingly vehement sermons which fell on increasingly deaf ears. And we found something else, countless recorded instances of what the Puritans called divine providence, the extraordinary intervention of God on behalf of his people when they are in covenant with him. Time after time, God would pour out his grace and mercy on the Puritans and protect them from dangers they could not foresee. But we also discovered some sobering examples of divine justice when those who had been in covenant openly scorned their commitment by word and deed. And we gained a better understanding of the judgments of God, those major and minor calamities which a loving Father permits in order to get the attention of his wayward children and cause them to turn back to him. For the Puritans saw God's interventions for weal or for woe as distinctly as had their spiritual ancestors in ancient Israel. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, and the curse, if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God. And this is found in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verses 26 through 28.